How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to go-kart build video number 25. And I'm finally back from vacation. Spent the Christmas time here in San Diego. Hope you all had a nice Christmas or whatever holiday you may celebrate during this time of year. And kind of been off and on with the go-kart here, but the past 2-3 days I've been really working a lot on it and getting a lot of work done. So I thought I'd take this video to kind of catch you guys up on the work I've done so far. I was gonna film it, but then it was just a lot of the same repetitive, like, tedious work, and you'll understand here in a second. But I'm very close to being done, and I'm very excited. It's been a fun project, but I'm kind of at the point where I just want it to be done, and so that way I can enjoy it and actually drive it and not have to constantly be working on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys what I've done so far and what really the plan is just for today, because it's about 9 o'clock in the morning and I got pretty much the whole day to work on this, so I'm going to try and get it all done today. So I'm going to go ahead and catch you guys up now. Okay, so if all these pieces look familiar, it's because they probably are. This is the entire go-kart taken apart and on the floor. And here's the frame right here. It's all taken apart. So basically, I was gonna test drive it with the torque converter to make sure everything worked okay, but for some reason I lost the chain, so I couldn't find the chain, so I had to order a new one, and that's gonna take about a week to get here. So I just decided to say screw it and go for the painting process and hope everything works okay, and I'm pretty sure it will. Not a whole lot of major changes, but yeah. So that's pretty much what I've done so far. So I've taken it apart, got all the bearings, shocks, all the running gear. And then one thing that if you're going to be doing a go-kart or building it and then painting it eventually is when you take it apart, label everything. So these are all the bolts and nuts and washers for each and every individual part of the go-kart. So I have it all labeled, so like one bag says brake pedal assembly, the other one says pedal mounting bolts, etc. And just to keep everything organized, so when you go back to put it back together, you're not searching for bolts because they all look the same when you're trying to put it back together. So that's pretty much it here. Yeah, so everything's taken apart, brakes, everything. So one cool thing was that when just before I took it apart, I was actually able to measure the weight of the go-kart. So what I did was I took this bucket here, put this bucket on just like your typical scale you weigh yourself on, and then I balanced the go-kart with everything on it, engine, wheels, everything, and it came out to weighing about 207.5 pounds, which isn't too bad. I mean, I looked up like the average weight of a shifter kart, and it's about the mid 200s to 300 pounds. If I looked up the right information. So I was pretty stoked to see that. And if you take off the engine itself weighs 37.5 pounds. So without the engine, the frame weighs 170 pounds, which really is pretty light. So I was pretty happy to see that. So basically what I did next, and what I've been doing for the past 2.5 days, is just get the frame and all of the metal components prepped and ready to paint. So what did that consist of? That consisted of going back and finishing up any welds that I needed to redo. So this is the top half of the go-kart, but on the bottom side there are a lot of welds that I didn't do with everything on the go-kart because it would have been hard to flip it. So when I took everything off, I flipped it, and so like for instance this piece here, that didn't have welds on the bottom, so I went ahead and did that. So I got all the welding done, which is perfect because I went through 2 spools of welding wire, which was a lot. So I got just enough done. And then once I did that, I basically took the angle grinder and with the cutting or grinding wheel, and basically just ground every weld down till it was pretty smooth or flush. Now you may say, oh well, you didn't do a very good job on the top here. I didn't want to grind them all the way down completely just because I wanted some added strength on the top here, which may or may not have a whole lot of an effect, but just for peace of mind. And then what did I do next? Oh, one thing is I ditched this whole bolt system here and I just welded this guy in because it was way too wobbly, so it should still fit in my car, no problem. So that was another thing. And then so once I took the angle grinder and ground and smoothed all the welds off, I went to the wire brush to clean up any rough edges. And let me tell you, the wire brush really hurts when you're using it because those wires shoot off and basically stab you. So if you're using a wire brush, wear a sweatshirt, which I was doing, and it still hurt. But anyways, so yeah, use the wire brush to kind of soften up any rough edges, like on here or just anywhere along the go-kart, and it'll help get any surface rust off and like hard to get areas. So like areas where there's welds, there is some surface rust, but the sanding disc couldn't get there because it was, you know, some awkward corners and crannies, and the wire brush is able to get in there. And then once I took the wire brush and did everything with that, I took the sanding disc and basically sanded the entire go-kart. And if you watch the previous video where I did the paint sample, you'll see why I did the sanding disc, because it leaves like that pattern in the metal, which will look really cool with the blue paint that I'm going to be using. So pretty much did the entire frame and did all the suspension arms, so prepped those as well. And then the next step, I primered everything. So I got this special primer. I'm going to go ahead and refocus the camera so you can actually read the can. So I got this special Duplicolor Automotive Primer Adhesion Promoter, and the reason why I bought this one is because on the paint that I'm using, it actually says to use this type of primer. It's a clear primer. It's not like your typical primer, so I was happy to see that because it'll still show the sanding patterns in the metal. So I just basically applied about 2 to 3 coats of this onto the metal before, well, after I sanded it, because you want to do this soon after you finish sanding it all, because you don't want any more surface rust to form on the frame, which will kind of defeat the whole purpose of sanding it down. So I quickly sanded the frame and then sanded the suspension arms and then applied about 2 to 3 coats of primer, and we were good with the prep stage for painting. Okay, so what have I done next? Basically what I've done next is I started primering all the pieces I'm going to be painting black. Now I'm kind of doing this differently from the main frame. The main frame is using a clear primer to go with that blue paint, and I'm using a standard primer. It's a gap filling primer, so it'll kind of help smooth out any gouges or divots in the metal, since I didn't use any like body filler or anything, which is typically what you want to use, but not necessarily for a go-kart. And that's really more for body panels and not like axles and stuff. So I applied a primer to the axles, and as you can see, I have to go back and primer over this because this little sliding part was covering that when I primered it last night. And then I also did the spindles, and I have to also do, so the parts I'm going to do black are the steering column, which is sitting on the ground right there, and then all the seat struts, which are over there, and then the brake rod that connects to the brake pedal. Those are all going to be black, and it's going to look really cool. Oh, and also the brake pedal, brake plate, or sorry, the foot plate where the pedals are, and also the engine plate, those are going to be black as well. So I gotta sand those down and make them nice and smooth, and then I'm going to primer over those. And that's kind of the first order of business for today, is to get everything primered and ready to go. So I gotta finish those up, and then that way I can take this paint that I bought, can't really read that, but it's just black gloss paint, and I can do those parts in black. One thing I should mention to anyone who's building a go-kart or is thinking about it and will eventually be painting it, is you definitely need, you can't just lay down this paint onto the metal. It needs to have some sort of primer to adhere to, which is why I bought that adhesion promoter. It'll help the paint adhere to the metal surface. And you also need to use a clear coat. The reason why I'm showing you this is because you can kind of see, I was just testing it to see how easily scratchable it was, and basically I just took a screwdriver and barely rubbed against it, and it scratched off really easily. So that just told me that I needed to use some sort of primer and also a clear coat to when I actually do the go-kart, to help the paint be more durable. So one thing I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to paint the frame today, well, I want to paint everything and just get it done, but to paint the frame, I did the primer and stuff in my backyard, because that way I didn't get any overspray on anything. But the only problem with that was you don't have a very controlled environment, because you got the wind blowing and you got crap falling from the trees and stuff that may land on your paint. So what I'm basically going to be doing in the garage here is setting up a mini paint booth. I bought like these big plastic sheets from Home Depot that you use to set up while you're painting like homes and walls, but I'm basically going to make a mini paint booth and duct tape all the pieces together so that I can have more of a controlled environment. I'll show you guys when I set that up, but I'll have to see how much I'm going to film when I'm actually painting, because I don't want to get any overspray on the camera. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, I thought I'd take you guys and fill you in on what I've been doing for the past like hour and a half. Basically just been applying primer to all the parts that are going to be black. So we got the spindles here, we got the three different axles, we got both plates, the engine plate and the foot plate, the 3 seat struts, and the 2 tie rods for the steering. And then over here we got the steering column and the brake rod. And also one other thing I did yesterday was I cut the steering column in half, and the reason why I did this is because I welded in that piece over there and it was too hard to try and get the steering column to slide all the way through. So I just cut it in half so I can take the bottom part out through the bottom and the top part out through the top, and then I'll join that with a coupler, which is it's a really strong fit coupler that I'm going to go pick up from the hardware store probably tomorrow. So yeah, I'm just trying to wait for these to dry. I pretty much have all the coats of primer on these that I'm going to need, and then I'm going to leave them out here and then set up the spray booth in there, take a break, get some to eat, and then probably start throwing black paint on here, and then also start doing the blue paint on there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Kart paint spray booth, brought to you by a bunch of plastic sheets and duct tape. So I just finished up mocking up this spray booth. It actually turned out pretty well. Had a hard time unraveling these giant plastic sheets. They're like 9 foot by 12 foot sheets. Just got them at Home Depot in a pack of 6. So just taped them up around the garage with some duct tape, taped them to the floor, and then also obviously taped them to each other so they're not just flying around. Okay, so now inside the spray booth, and it's good I did this because it's more controlled than doing it open. You know, obviously we're gonna eliminate a lot of chance for overspray, and the garage may get a slight blue tint to it, but oh well. I don't think it should, but it also prevents a lot of wind and debris from flying in. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe it down, get all the crap that was that's on it just from sitting in the garage and me sanding other things. Once I wipe it down, I'll apply the first coat, and I think all the pieces out there are ready to be sprayed black. So I'm just waiting for the primer to dry on those pieces over there. And then I'll put up black on that. Probably do about 2-3 coats of black, and then 2 coats of clear on those pieces out there. And then I'm shooting for 4 coats of blue and 2 coats of clear on this. So we'll see how it goes. And then obviously do the suspension arms too. And I'm gonna wrap the jack stands in some plastic bags so they don't get paint all over them. But I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go get some food, and then I will start painting this. I don't know how much I'm gonna film of me painting it. I'll probably just fill you guys in every, like, you know, increments for every coat I do, just to kind of let you guys know what's happening with the paint and stuff like that. Alright everyone, so little update on what's been going on as you can see, it's dark now, so now it's been quite a while. So quite an interesting story of events. So I was painting outside, as I showed you, and of course it started raining. So I had to move everything inside. The paint got a little messed up because the water droplets got on it and started forming little like circles in the paint. So I'm just gonna have to go back and refinish that. So I've been doing the frame. I did the top. So I'm not gonna go completely inside the booth because I don't want to get overspray on the camera. But here's a little. So that's what it looks like in the booth. That's the underside, and then I've done both sides, and then the suspension arms are on the ground right there. So I've done probably about 4 coats of that blue, and I'm just waiting for the bottom to dry. I'm going to do a very last top coat. I'm going to flip it over and do the top, and then put the clear coat on it, put the clear coat on the frame, and then I'm going to move all these pieces into the paint booth, spray those and finish those, and then clear coat those, and then I should be done. And man, what a messy process this is. Anyone that tells you painting is an easy, clean process is a liar. Look at all that blue stuff on the ground. That's like pigment of the paint. It's not even actually, it's like not, it won't stick to you. It's like powder. I mean, it does stick to you, but it brushes off easily, but this stuff is messy. So, and I've been kind of feeling a little woozy from being in the paint booth. It's pretty strong fumes in there. But getting it done, I'll be glad when this is done. It's a very messy process. But I think it'll look cool. The frame's looking good. The only part that I'm having problems with is there are some parts on the frame where I don't think I got all the grease / dirt off, so the paint like bubbles away from the area, so there's some spots that look a little meh. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. I mean, it is a go-kart after all, so it's not going to be perfect, but I would like it to get as good as possible. So, but other than that, I think it's going pretty good. And after I clear coat it and bring the frame out of the paint booth, I'll show you. I'll take a video of that before I start spraying the other pieces on the ground over there. So, fill you guys in a little bit. Alright everybody, so another update here on the painting process. So basically finished up doing all the blue, top and bottom, and I started applying the clear coat, and I noticed that it was going on really fuzzy, and it made the go-kart, like the surface, really rough, and it wasn't very clear. It was kind of cloudy and matte, and it was supposed to be a gloss clear primer and not a matte finish. And I think what was happening is, I mean, it's pretty cold out. It's probably like in the 50s. I mean, obviously if you're from the East Coast or whatever, it's not anywhere near cold, but in terms for painting, ideally you want to be 65 to like 80 degrees, and it's probably a little lower, so that's probably why the first clear coat I was using was having some trouble. So I tried this other clear coat. It was just like the Rust-Oleum you get from Home Depot, and I tried that one, and it seems to be holding up to the colder weather a lot better than the Duplicolor clear coat. So I decided to use that. So I've been clear coating. I clear coated 2 really heavy coats to the top of the frame, and all the sides and nooks and crannies and everywhere. And also been clear coating the suspension arms over there. And so now I flipped it over after waiting for the top clear coat to dry. I flipped it over, just applied 1 clear coat to the bottom, and then I'm waiting for that to dry, and then I'm going to apply 1 more clear coat to the bottom of the frame and 1 more clear coat to the suspension arms, and that will conclude the painting process for the frame and the suspension arms. And once I do that, I'm going to let that dry for a while, so it's handleable, I don't know, it's able to be handled, I guess. And then once that, I can take it out of this paint booth and then put all those pieces in down there that were sabotaged by the rain earlier today. So I'll be painting those last. Got to apply, because I messed up the finish when I was moving them in, and the water also messed it up. I accidentally stepped on a piece, so I'm gonna have to refinish it with some black, and then re-clear coat the pieces that I had clear coated one side, and luckily the parts that were damaged, or well, one side of the plates are painted right now, the other side just have primer on them. Luckily the sides that got affected by the rain are the underside of the plates, so the side of the plate that won't be showing up. So that's at least one plus that came out of that. But yeah, so basically just waiting for this to dry, and then I'll apply another clear coat. You can see all of the paint pigment powder just sitting all over the ground, but it's coming along, so I'll keep you guys posted on what happens next. Okay, update. Frame is out of the booth and sitting on 2 buckets. Still, the paint is pretty raw and needs to be dried for a while. I mean, it's dry to touch, but if you do any more than that, then it will probably come up. Suspension arms are also done down there. Those have all been clear coated, and they are just drying. So yeah, frame's done, and it's out of the booth. So now, going into the booth, we have the other pieces to the go-kart. So we got, so over there is the outer axles. Can't really see them because they're black. There is 1/2 of the steering column. Down there are the 2 spindles. There's the lower part of the steering column. 2 tie rods. The 3 seat struts. Foot plate, engine plate, brake rod, and the main center axle. So those are all being painted currently. I had to resurface some, or not resurface, but go over with paint again. Luckily this paint fills, you know, decent gaps and kind of evens out the surface every time you apply a coat. Because what I was about to say was, when they were out in the rain, they got little divots in them from the water droplets sitting on them. And also those seat struts, I actually stepped on one, and from me picking them up, my fingerprints got in them. But luckily the paint is kind of filling itself out, so it's all coming out pretty good. So now I'm going to probably apply one more coat of black to all of these, and then let that dry, and then apply 2 coats of clear, flip them all, and then do 2 coats of black and 2 coats of clear all over again. So I'll keep you guys updated. It's about, let's see, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock, and I started at 9 o'clock this morning. So been working on this for a solid 13 hours. So pretty long day, but it'll be well worth it once this is all done. How's it going, everyone? It is now like 12:45 in the morning. I'm really tired. I've been out here for almost, I don't even know, more than 14 hours, I think. Basically, waiting on the black crap, all the black pieces to dry. And I was gonna clean up tonight, but I'm way too tired, and this paint is taking forever to dry. I kind of screwed up a little bit on the foot plate because I was being impatient, so oops there, but oh well, it's a go-kart, it's not gonna be perfect. Frame turned out really good. It's nice blue, and I'm just stoked to almost be done with this thing. So literally waiting for this stuff to dry. I'm gonna let it dry overnight, gonna leave the fan on it, and then pick it up in the morning and get everything all nice and organized in the garage here, because it is a mess. There is still carbide dust everywhere, and yeah, I'm really tired, so I just wanted to wrap up this video before I close out the night. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me set up and kind of paint, or set up for the painting of the go-kart, and showing you kind of what I did today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Other than that, thank you all very much for watching again, and I will see you all in the next video.